Hey everybody, so today we're going to talk about the difference between alternating current and direct current in taking advantage of current electricity. So we talked about static electricity and massive discharges and kind of uncontrollable and can't really control the timing or how much energy is released. Or it's all based on distances and things like that, but that's not going to help us really power anything. So instead we use currents that are constantly flowing, electricity that's constantly moving through things. There's two different ways we're going to see that. We're going to see direct current and alternating current. So the first one we're going to talk about is direct current. So that is current that's going to flow in one direction. It's constant voltage, constantly supplied, okay, unchanging, okay, and it's going to power a lot of your devices. It's going to be generated a lot by batteries, and we can generate it here. This is a motor, and when it gets an electric current passed across it, it's going to cause the fan to spin in one direction or the other. Now it works because there's a motor inside here actually, and when there's a magnet that spins, it causes an electric current to flow through a wire that's wrapped around it. We probably get into that a little bit towards the end of the year, a little bit that combination of electricity and magnetism, so you have those two play off each other. But for simplicity for today, when we spin this, okay, it's going to cause an electric current to be flowing through my system, basically I'm generating a voltage difference between the two ends here, the two points on the cord where it's ending. That's going to cause a current to flow through my motor, which is going to in turn cause the fan blade to spin. Now, see here, if I turn it one direction, and I point it at the tissue, nothing happens. Okay, so it's spinning in one direction the whole time, but spinning towards me, flowing air in this direction. If I spin it the other way, now you can see that I can actually cause the tissue to move, because now by changing the direction of the rotation, I generate current in the opposite direction, which actually causes the motor to spin the opposite direction. So direct current is all about electrons flowing in one direction, okay, not going back and forth. You can see that here too. Another little thing, this right here is a bidirectional LED. LED stands for light emitting diode. Okay, the cool thing about diodes is that they only allow electrons to flow in one direction. So when the electrons flow one way, the diode will work. When they flow the other way, it does not work. However, this is a bidirectional LED. But what's kind of cool about it is that it is bidirectional, but while it is bidirectional, it actually will give a different color light with each direction. So let me turn the lights off really quick. You can probably see that a little bit better. Sorry, wrong one. There we go, cool. So now the cranks can't move, when I turn one way, it turns red. When I turn the other way, it turns green. So you can actually see that when, as we saw before with the fan, when I turn the crank one way, electrons went one direction. When I turn the crank the other way, the electrons went the other direction. So that's telling you that this light is basically, when the electrons go one way, it's turning green. When they're going the other way, it's turning red. That's because of the fact that it is a diode. It is only allowing things to go one way or the other. And when they go one way, they go through one light. When they go the other way, they go through the other light. They're going to cause the light up and give that energy release. So that's all direct current. Current only flowing in one direction. Okay. Now, when I take one of those bidirectional LEDs and I attach it to a extension cord and I plug it in, what we'll see here, put this up here, is that it almost looks like both those lights are going at the same time. Okay, so kind of cool. Now, here's something very cool. When we take that over here, and let's see, cool, and I'm gonna turn the lights off, and I'm gonna start spinning this around, trying to keep within the frame of view. You will notice that I can actually see those lights are not on constantly. Those colors, it is going from green to red, okay, alternating back and forth between them, with a gap in between each of the colors. So that's happening because, well, as we saw before, the color changes when the current changes direction, right? So what does that tell you about what's happening in the current in this plug, in this wire that I plugged into the outlet? Well, it's changing direction. When it's flowing one way, we're getting green. When it's flowing the other way, you're getting red. So even though it looks like this is constantly on, can you kind of maybe see that a little bit better if I bring it close? Even though it looks like both lights are constantly on, those electrons are constantly vibrating back and forth different directions, because when we plug this in, we're using alternating current. When we go into a circuit, when we go plug something into the wall, it is getting alternating current. It is having electrons that are going one way and then going back the other. So wall current, wall electricity is AC. Stuff coming out of a battery is DC, and plays a big role in terms of determining how that energy needs to be converted, right? If you think about it, all of your devices that you use, your phone, your laptop, everything else works off a battery. It's off DC current. But coming from the wall, well, you're getting AC current. How does that work to charge your battery? Well, that's why you need all those adapters. Okay? That's why you need those plug-in thing, the little white cubes for your iPad, or the USB cords. They're taking that alternating current and transferring it into a direct current. So that way it can charge your battery in the correct way. It's not going to go back and forth oscillating. It's going to feed the charge to one side to reestablish that electric potential energy in that battery. Make sure that all of that charge is stored up in the way it's supposed to be stored up. When your computer is plugged in, it's the same thing. Okay? It's going based off, it has to go through a conversion. And all that conversion costs energy. That's why, especially older plugs, older adapters, they use to heat up, because, well, they're losing some of that energy from the wall socket, converting it to a direct current from AC to DC. Now, they're also doing other things too, like taking the voltage way down, because if you don't take the voltage way down, you're going to overload the battery and then you're going to fry your phone. So those adapters are extremely important for things like that. They're extremely important when you travel internationally. When you travel internationally, the voltage is a lot higher out of the wall sockets. So that's why if you just went and plugged your phone into a wall socket in Europe, you're going to probably fry your phone, because you're basically doubling the amount of voltage or electric potential energy that's being applied to the circuit, which is going to cause too much current. It's going to overload the battery, and might cause some meltdowns, and it's going to be ugly. Okay? You need those adapters. You need to make sure that you're actually using the right voltage that your device is set for to get the battery in the right place.